was a red Mustang flying, bro, my way, right in my lane. And I'm like, boom, I just go straight to the right, boom, flies right by me, bro. All lights, going, lights and sirens going after him. 3 days out of the week, and you know what I mean, making an extra $30,000, like, I'm just doing this on my off day.
Yeah, I know as soon as you came to her and said, hey, babe, I'm thinking about changing careers, she was probably like, oh my gosh, thank you for answering my prayers. Good.
God's telling me that you're a pastor, you know what I mean? I was like, dude, I don't even know this dude. He's like, you come from a family of pastors right now.
Welcome back to everybody to another episode of Direct Discussions, a podcast dedicated to deep diving with individuals just like you. And I'm going to pass it over to my boy David.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode. So we got the pleasure of speaking with Caleb Reyes today. Let's go.
Let's go.
So a little touchdown. I think me and Caleb have been known for each other for sure since high school. What, you went to AC New Middle School?
Yeah, dude, I got a funny story too. Okay, what I remember about you in middle school.
Let's go into it. So we've been knowing each other since what, middle school? Maybe even elementary. What elementary you go to?
No, I went to DISD. I didn't start going to MSD till middle school.
Okay, so we've been knowing each other for probably for sure over a decade since middle school, bro. That's a long time.
It's been a while, yeah.
All right, I want to hear this story. Go ahead.
Dude, I don't know if you remember, we had, they were going over one of the books. I forgot what the name of the book was, but they had you do like a project of like, what did you learn from this book or something like that. And it was about a little girl or something like that. And then you dressed up as a little girl. And the teacher was so, like, she was dying laughing, and she was like, she started bringing you around, and she brought us to our classroom, and she was trying to tell our teacher about, like, look at this kid and their project and what they did, and this is apparently what they learned from this book or something. I don't know. You don't remember that?
No, but that was so long ago. But that's funny, though, bro. Actually, you say that, I could actually envision myself doing that.
Yeah, you were a jokester.
I really want to, like, play the part of jokester. Yeah, that's funny. That's actually hilarious, bro. My aunt has a story about me. She was like, when you were little, you used to always come around with this pink backpack. And I'm like, pink backpack? She was like, yes, you always had this pink backpack on, And I was like, what? That's crazy that y'all remember that I used to come around with this pink backpack. So it's just funny, too, bro. I guess my whole life I've been feminine, bro. Yeah. That's funny, bro. Hey, so we wanted to get into it real quick. Since I've known you for so long, it's hard to, like, recap on everything. But I want to know, what made you want to become a police officer and go into that field, because it's a dangerous field. So what made you want to become a police officer?
Dude, it's funny because we're going to talk about business and stuff like that too, and it's kind of the same situation, same thing that I'm going to talk about is why I got into both. And you'll kind of, I'll tell it back here in a little bit, but I had a friend, her name was Priscilla, and we grew up since we were kids together. We went to elementary, went to middle school, all stuff together. Mm-hmm. And, she was just one of those girls that did everything right, did everything she was supposed to, all stuff. She had a scholarship for volleyball. Like, she was smart, she was everything. So we're really close. And unfortunately, she had a 1-year-old son, and she was about 19 years old, 2014, the year we graduated. Mm-hmm. September of that year, she got into a DWI accident. Somebody hit her on the way home. And so she passed away from that. It was a bad situation. They had this guy's, they had a video of him coming out of the bar, sloppy drunk, coming into the truck. And after this whole situation, they still only gave him 6 months in jail after a manslaughter. Isn't that crazy? And I didn't think it was right. I didn't think it was fair. It's Dallas County. And I was just like, man, you know what? And at the time, I was trying to figure out what am I going to study, in college and stuff like that. And I kind of always wanted to do something like law enforcement or fireman or something like that, but my family's like, no, you know what I mean? Yeah. And so I went for it, bro. And I went 2 years of college, Eastfield, got all that stuff, and then, got hired on at Dallas County Jail, Lulu, that's what they call it, Lou Sterrett Jail. Lulu. And, and so I did 2 years there. Crazy experience, man. Crazy. I mean, I worked on it's called the third floor. It's called West Tower. There's 3 towers. And I worked in the mental health area. Nobody wanted to work there, So, and dude, I got crazy stories about that. But I worked there for a couple years. So once I applied to Irving PD, dude, I was going to become a sheriff deputy. And I went to the academy there and took an exam and all this kind of stuff, and I made like a 79. They were like, you had to make an 80. They kicked me out.
1 point away?
They kicked me out, bro. They sent me back to the jail, and I was like, dude, I was like, at that time, dude, I was fit like crazy, man. You know, I was like 20 pounds lighter, right? Yeah. You know, but I was number one in everything, you know, all that stuff. And they kicked me back to the jail, and I was bad. And so I applied to Irving. Picked me up quick. They needed somebody bilingual. They got a lot of Salvadorians over there. My grandpa's from Salvador. My mom's from Honduras. My mom and dad's from Mexico, so I'm a mix. And they picked me up right away, and I got started at Irving, and dude, I loved it, man. I got like a $20,000 raise too. You know what I mean? Like it was crazy. Yeah. But dude, I loved it. But the main reason was because of, you know, Priscilla. That's kind of what it started everything. Started looking into it more, and then, you know, got started at the jail, and then moved over to Irving.
So you would say that in all aspects of your life, you're trying to go full throttle. Like you don't want to like basically half it. You want to go full throttle. Like as soon as you became a police officer, like I'm trying to be the top of the top. Yeah. And then insurance, you're like I'm trying to be the top of the top.
Yeah, dude. Like I feel like since I was a kid, you know, I feel like my mom always put that in me. Like you're unique, you're different. You know, you're made to stand out. You're the salt of the world. You're the light of the world. You know, all this kind of stuff. You know, biblical principles, stuff like that. And but yeah, dude, I've always wanted to excel. So yeah, in the academy, I graduated number one in fitness. You know what I mean? Number one in like different areas. I wasn't the smartest dude, but I was willing to work hard. You know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, dude, I always wanted to stand out. I want to be different, man.
No, working hard is for sure half the battle. Literally just got to show up, and then if you just work hard, people are going to be like, oh, he works hard, so I'd rather have him than this guy that has a lot of talent and it's just like BS in it.
That's right. Yeah, hard work is always going to do what talent won't.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I like that. Yeah, that makes so much work. Because you know when you don't have the talent, you're like, I got to work harder. When you got the talent, you're like, I can... But that's actually really, really good. So what do you think was like your main driving force after you got into being a police officer that was like, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing at that point? Because I know you transitioned after that, but at that point when you were a police officer, what was your thing like, oh, I'm glad I'm doing this?
Dude, I think... like I said, I got a lot of stories, I think even bigger, like in policing, because it was now you're out there. You know what I mean? Let's
go into it. What was the most dangerous night that you could remember where you were like, oh, this is not good, I'm getting into right now?
Dude, I got a video of this. I shouldn't, you're not supposed to record and stuff like that, but, you know, I got a piece of that. And, dude, it was like 3, 4 in the morning because I worked nights in the beginning. You know, they always put you at deep nights, you know, first. I did 12-hour shifts. Yeah. And, bro, I still remember it's off of Confluence and Beltline in Irving, you know, for those of you guys that watch it from Irving, right, or know about Irving, right, it's like the west of Irving. And I'm coming out of the 7-Eleven. All my buddies, we just had a call. It's like 3, 4 of us at a 7-Eleven. We had a call there, and it was nothing. So we're like, hey, dude, let's go hang out at the abandoned Lowe's. You know, it's like just north of there. And it's about to start raining. They got like a little roof up there and stuff. So let's go hang out over there. Okay, cool. So I'm about to take a U-turn, and I see headlights coming my way. Yeah, man. You know, and I'm just like, nah, man, I'm just sleepy or something. I'm like, you know, is that coming my way? And, dude, it was a red Mustang flying, bro, my way, right in my lane. And I'm like, boom, I just go straight to the right. Boom, flies right by me, bro. So I took a U-turn, turned my lights on, woo, you know. You know, and so I go and then my buddies see it, so we're all lights, you know, going, you know, lights and sirens going after him, and they're not stopping, bro. You know, in the video I got like where there's a piece where that car, it was a female. She hit like the curb and she still keeps going the wrong way. And dude, I wasn't thinking right. I'm still new. You know, I got in trouble for it because I was driving the wrong way too. I was just trying to catch her. You know, I was just trying to get her. And so the sergeant literally gets on the radio. He's like, "Are you guys driving on the right side of the road?" And I'm like, "Yes, sir." You know, you know. But I think it was literally within my first year of being a cop. You know what I mean? And so there's a lot of training that goes into it, bro. But it's like there's not enough training. You just got to work it and figure it out, just like in anything in life, bro. Yeah. You know, you just got to do it first, and then you'll get that first-hand experience. But yeah, that situation right there is what really got me like, man, dude, because we followed her for like a good 3 miles or something like that. You know, she was flying. And
what was she? Like drunk and impaired or what?
Yeah, bro. So once we finally got to her, we saw like a line of cars at the red light on where she's going. Mm-hmm. So one of my buddies cuts her off. You know, gets right in front of her. So if she hits anybody, he's gonna hit one of us, right? Yeah. And so she stops. And so I get out of the car, bro, and you can hear me, you know, I pull out my gun, and I'm like, dude, you're just off of training now. You're just going, yeah, dude, I can think of so many moments like that where I jumped out of my car and my gun was already in my hand. Like, whoa, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's just so much, you know. But I come out and I'm just like, you know, put the car in park, because I could see she still had it on the brake, like you see the lights.
Yeah.
So like, you know, those are little things you're just like, you know, running. And I was like, put the car in park, and I'm, you know, pointing the gun at her and stuff. And there's a little light on your gun, and she puts the car in park. We open in the car, get out, and she's dying laughing.
What?
She's laughing, yeah. Just, oh my gosh, that was so much fun, and la la la, you know, whatever, you know, all this kind of stuff. And I'm just like, you know, so I'm pissed at that moment, bro. She almost hit me head on. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like,
you could have been hurt for
yeah,
real.
bro. Like, you know, I got a daughter at home. You know what I mean? Like, dude, this is crazy. So I'm like, I'm upset. I turn around, put her in handcuffs, and now it's funny, but like, I took her to jail, and I had to read her this form. And some you have to or whatever, you know, so you got to do a blood draw, stuff like that. But anyway, so I'm reading it to her, and she's like, sir, you know, and I'm like, be quiet, I'm trying to read this crap, you know what I mean? And she's like, sir, and I'm like, what? And she's like, you're fine as crap, man. Her real words, you're fine as hell, you know, and I'm just like, man, shut up, you know, I was just trying to read. It was so funny, man, and I showed it to my wife, and now she's laughing and stuff like that, but at the moment, dude, I was mad, you know, but because of that situation, dude, like, that one and just like many others, dude, we arrested so many people that were drinking and driving that could seriously hurt somebody. It wasn't about going out there and just putting people in jail because we don't like these people or whatever. You know what I mean? It was like, we're protecting folks out there, you know? So it's like, or, you know, I remember getting on a call right away, and as soon as we got on, they're like, hey, man, we need you guys right now. There's no detail, no meeting like in the beginning. That's what they call it, detail. Just go out there. You know, we just got out there, and there was a car on fire, bro. Just hit like one of those big old posts, you know, with like the signs of like next exit or whatever. Yeah. So like, dude died in there, bro. You know, so it didn't kill nobody else or anything, but you know, because he's driving, you know, like, so it's like stuff like that I'm just like, dude, we're out here making a difference, like for real. You know what I mean? So yeah, to answer your question, kind of long, you know.
Yeah, no, that's good, bro. When you say that, the first thing that comes to my mind is it End of Watch? That movie with I forget, is it Jake Gyllenhaal? I think is his name.
Yeah, I can't remember the name.
And the other Mexican guy. That is a really good movie. And when I watch that movie makes me want to be a cop. Yeah. And then after you're like, nah, I'm not gonna risk my life to do all this stuff.
And a lot of stuff in there is not like super realistic, but some of it is. You know, especially the mentality of it. Like, just imagine, you know, going out there and seeing, you know, people dead all the time or whatever. It's like, dude, you leave there and it's like, dude, I feel like I just left another world. Like, it's especially the jail. I would leave out of the jail and I'm like, dude, nobody knows what just happened in there. Yeah, you know what I mean? I'm leaving and everybody's just, you know, running outside, literally outside the jail. Like, there's a little place to run on their bike and their kids. And
Loose there, right? Yeah. So there is.
Yeah. So like right there by Trinity and all that. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, nobody knows what just happened in there. You know what I mean? Or like, what just happened 2 hours ago? Or, you know, somebody just, you know, hung themselves in the jail, or, you know, like crazy stuff like that. You know, and it's like, dude, this is crazy. So it was definitely a crazy experience, and I loved it. I do miss it sometimes, you know, because you see new stuff every day, you make a difference. But I love my family more, you know. And that's why I want to go into business and all that kind of stuff.
So, hindsight, would you say that you would maybe potentially ever go back to doing that?
Dude, I think the only way I would is if I did reserves. So there's something that you could do. Like, my church is in Ball Springs, and I've actually talked to my wife about it. I still have my license as a cop, so I'm still, you know, licensed and everything. Licensed police officer in Texas. And so to keep on my license, I have to do continuing education and stuff like that. But I'm just so busy, man. But I got to do it. I can't remember what the expiration date is, but if I would go back to it, I would do like reserves at Ball Springs or something, little bitty city, and then you can only do like 1 or 2 weekends a month or something. I maintain my license, and I'm still around it a little bit, and it's just volunteer work. You don't get paid for it or nothing like that. So probably something like that, but not actually work or anything like that, you know, but I did like it.
So, question, is that kind of like, well, in Grand Prairie, they have citizens on patrol, and every time I see them, I'm like, they're not really a police officer, but they're wearing the uniform, because most of the time, they're just older men just driving around in uniform in a truck.
Yeah, so it's a little different. They're, I don't think they're licensed. I don't think they have to be licensed, and they're not allowed to carry. You know, so when you're actual police officer and you just do reserves, you can carry and stuff like that. Like, I've looked into it for Dallas too, but I think they just got you doing like jail work or something like that. Like, you just work at the jail. But I want to be out there in the streets or something like that a little bit. But then my wife's like, no, you know what I mean? So if I did, it would be reserves. But if not, you know, then I'll probably, you know, I'm not sure. I'll probably either just keep the license and then just keep carrying, because I don't need a concealed license carrier, whatever it might be. I just have that license.
So, for clarification, how much time did you do at Irving PD in comparison to Dallas PD?
Yeah, so it was Dallas County. It's a little different. So, but either way, yeah, with Dallas County, I did about 2.5 years, and then Irving about 4 years total. But of those 4 years, I was actually on the streets for about like 2.5 or something like that, because the academy is a while. Like, it's 9 months. Once we got back, there was still another like 6 months of training. So it's a lot. Irving actually has one of the longest ones. Irving and Dallas. But yeah, so there was like a whole year's worth of just academy and stuff like that, and yeah. But it was about 6 years total law enforcement.
I was gonna ask. So, do you get paid whenever you're doing the training?
Yeah, dude.
Oh, so
you can go to the academy in Eastfield, and I was like, oh, why would I do that? I'd leave there, got a license, and don't have a guaranteed job or anything like that, or have like, I'm not big on guarantees or anything like that. That's why, but I figured I can at least, go somewhere. They're paying me while I'm going to the academy, and then, I already have a job by the time I get out. You know what I mean?
So I didn't realize you were a police officer that long. It was like, what, 6 years? 5 years?
It's crazy, huh?
I thought you were only there for like 1.5 years, 2 years.
Time flies.
In and out. But no, that might just because, you're not always posting you being a police officer or you posting you on duty and whatnot, which is good. You don't want to be doing that anyways.
Yeah, dude, if you look at my car right now, it's like tinted out, limo tint, because I didn't want nobody seeing me in uniform on the way to work or something like that. A lot of people did it at work, but I just went like already ready. But yeah, I didn't really post it a lot.
No, that makes a lot of sense, though. I know you would. I would want to stay low key too. So, what made you want to get into being? You said you do pastor work, or you're a pastor at your church. So what made you want to do that?
Since I was a kid, bro. Since I was a kid, my grandpa has been the pastor of our church for 42 years. You know what I mean? He's from El Salvador. They moved over here. My mom was from Honduras. They're like next door neighbors, countries. And so he was the pastor. He started the church, in Ball Springs. And so they raised it from the ground up, right? And so when my mom, she had a real bad accident back then, and they used some of that money to like start building the church and stuff like that too. And
that's cool.
So yeah, the church is big and everything, but my grandfather's just retired, like literally just a couple months ago, and he's not doing so well. I passed the baton on to my mom. And so I'm there supporting, so I've been there all my life. I've known ministry since I was a kid. And so I'm like, but I never thought like maybe pastor, but maybe when I'm like 40 or something. And then, dude, people that I didn't even know were, telling me, like, dude, the last day on my job as a cop, I went to talk to a pastor in Irving, and I was trying to talk to him about business, about life insurance investments and stuff like that, so he can let me come and speak to a couple people there and educate them and stuff. And he's like, man, I got to work for you. And then he starts telling me, I didn't even know this guy, and he's like, God's telling me that you're a pastor, you know what I mean? I was like, dude, I don't even know this dude. He's like, you come from a family of pastors, right? And I was like, yeah, and so. Yeah,
you're like a natural born leader.
Yeah, man. So it was like, it was like that. God was speaking to me through different people, but I've been there all my life, so. Now it's just like I'm getting my credentials for it. My mom will be the pastor, and then maybe I'll take over eventually later on. But that's the story there.
Yeah. So how does the how much is a big key of the support you had with your wife going from a police officer and then going into insurance?
Dude, that's crazy because a lot of people, a lot of times have a lot of struggles with their spouses about like supporting them and or families. Like, why are you leaving a good job like this for, because I was getting paid like almost $85,000 as a cop in Irving. Now they're, going up to almost 100 and stuff like that if you've been there for 5 years. So, but dude, I mean, I think she just trusted me so much. Like, she just, it was very different. And, we have a little bit of an age gap too. So she just like, anything I said was like, you know what, well, you know what you're doing, just go for it, But it was also a downside of that. It's funny because she trusted me so much, I had that weight of like, dude, I better show up because, but it's the same thing. If you had somebody that just doesn't trust you or doesn't believe in you or doesn't whatever, then you're struggling because you have that negativity in the house or something like that. But my wife was just, whatever you say, we'll go for it. I'm with you and stuff. But she didn't really show it. She just like, okay, well, whatever you want, whatever will take you out of policing, you know what I mean? Like, so it wasn't so much that she just believed in me so much or, something like that. It was, she just wanted me to get out of policing. But even when I was in Irving or as a cop, stuff like that, she never told me like, get out of that. It was just like an internal thing that she just holding on to. Like, they didn't want me there, but she was supporting me. And so same thing with the business. I feel like she was supporting me, but, I'm not going to do any of that. You do it. You know what I mean? But now she helps me with a lot of paperwork and stuff like that I need and everything. But, yeah, she was always there for me.
Yeah, I know as soon as you came to her and said, hey, babe, I'm thinking about changing careers, she was probably like, oh my gosh, thank you for answering my prayers. Goodness. I'm so glad I don't have to have this anxiety in my mind of what could possibly happen while he's out on duty. Like, I already know that's like, she's probably going crazy, especially with having a little girl.
Yes.
How old was your little girl when you were, whenever you were being a police officer?
Yeah, so she's 2 right now. So, she was just born, but she was pregnant. Like, during the time she was pregnant, we're already thinking about this stuff. You know what I mean? Like, dude, I'm a police officer and this stuff, whatever. We're having these, like, crazy scenarios like what I just went through, and baby hasn't even been born yet, and she's just, like, thinking, And I'm like, it's okay, I got life insurance. No, no, but, obviously she don't want that. She wants me to be around and everything, but, she was good about it, though. Once it came through, the bad thing was, like, we'll talk a little bit more going into business talk and stuff, but I got licensed in 2020 and like, towards late 2020, September 2020. 2021, I was doing part-time, doing insurance investment, stuff like that. And I only worked Monday through Wednesday. Those were my days off from Irving. And so those 3 days, that whole year, we made like an extra $30,000.
Damn.
And so that for me was like 3 days out of the week. And you know what I mean? Making an extra $30,000. Like, I'm just doing this on my off day. Like, even when my baby was born in October of that year, I only made $800 that month. So that $30,000 really came from all other, there were some months that I made like $5,000, some months I made like $2-3,000, just extra. It was just extra income, And so I was like, if I leave my job, I know I could do a lot better. As a broker, you get paid a lot more, all this kind of stuff. You get bonuses now, all this kind of stuff. But it's like, this would be my only income coming in, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's kind of like, but she was like, let's leave Irving, let's leave,
anything better than you out here being a police officer.
Yes, yeah. So, but it was a leap of faith, because if I leave, like, I gotta put in work.
Yeah, that makes it. I already know you were scared trying to make that transition. You were like, all right, but I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go for it.
Yeah.
Sitting here and just hearing you talk about, your work in policing, your role in the church, and now insurance. One thing I can take away from you is that you always put yourself ahead of others, if that makes sense. You put others before yourself. Mm-hmm. And can you relate to that? Do you think some of that has to do with the early bringings that you had when you were in church, when you were a kid?
Yeah, dude, I think it has to do a lot with leadership. Like, you were talking about, so I listen to a lot of leadership podcasts and stuff like that to, learn more and stuff like that. But I think from the beginning, I knew that you got to lead from the front. We always say that, in football, when in Mesquite and stuff like that. All kinds of stuff. You got to be the leader. You got to be the one that does it first. You got to be the one so that it helps others. And so yeah, dude. Like, I would think all the time as a Irving cop. Like, if anything happened to me, if I were to pass away or something like that, then it wouldn't. I wouldn't die in vain. I would do it by in honor and stuff like that, all this kind of stuff. And most people are afraid of stuff like that. You know what I mean? Dude, if something happened to me, freak out, all this kind of stuff. And I feel like I never really had that fear. Like, I would think about it like, dude, that would really suck, type of thing. But it's like, what I'm doing is, everybody would remember me by, something that I was doing, honorably or whatever it might be. So, but yeah.
But do you feel like you weren't scared to die out there on the streets because you had God with you and you knew He was going to take care of you?
Yeah. I feel like, I was like, worst case scenario, if something did happen to me, it was God's will.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's how I felt. You know what I mean? I was like, but He's got me covered. I'm good.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. At the end of the day, He's going to make sure your family's taken care of and everything's put into place where they don't have to worry regardless of what happens for you.
Yeah, exactly, man. Yeah, that's how I felt. Like, I'm like, dude, I'm in God's will. He wants me here good. And then, but once I started, these other opportunities started opening, I'm like, okay, I feel like God's kind of leading me somewhere else. Dude, to be honest, like, throughout everything that I've, I say been through, not in a bad way, but everything that God's put me through and stuff and everything that I've done, I think it was just so I could be a pastor. Because I didn't know anything about drugs. I was a little Christian boy, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. It's not like, I just never got into, smoking weed or doing any of that stuff. Everybody in Mesquite was like, dude, let's go have fun. Dude, we're having fun right now. Just imagine if we're high, like stuff like that. That's what they would tell me. Yeah. And I don't know. It was just like, maybe it was a prayers over me from the family or, just instilled from me as a kid. So I just never, associated with that stuff or drinking or whatever it might be. I'm not going to say I'm a perfect child or anything. I had my own issues, right? But, I just never got into that stuff. And, so I feel like God was putting me through, I learned everything about drugs and seeing how people can be so broken and relationships and marriages and all this kind of stuff through Irving. They say that 1 year as a cop is like 10, 20 years as a regular life, the things that you see, you know what I mean? And so I think those, 6 years of my life in law enforcement, I learned so much at a young age to where I can use that, for people that have different kind of problems in the church, and I can help them through that stuff because I've already seen it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think everything that I've done up to this point was just so he was preparing me for what I'm going to do in the future, you know what I mean?
I wanted to ask real quick, so what principles did you see in your wife before y'all became married where you were like, I think she's the one? Like, what was the thing she had where you're like, this is it, this is what I want, this is what I'm trying to spend the rest of my life with, and move forward?
Dude, that's a good question, man. I think one of the biggest things that I saw in her was we could have talks about our spiritual life and stuff like that, and about the word a little bit, or things that happen at church or whatever it might be that I couldn't have with nobody else. Like there was, because I said there's a little bit of age gap we're 4 years apart. Okay, she's younger than me than I am. And so I was like, dude, there's people that are my age or older, females, and all they're thinking about is drinking and partying and having fun, and you know what I mean? And so, or just want to do some other stuff with me, right? But I could talk to her, and it was just like she was spiritually mature. That was the quality that I saw in her. You know what I mean? So what I noticed was, or I learned that they always say the one or all this kind of stuff. I think the one is the one that you choose, right? And so I was like, dude, she probably has some mistakes or problems or whatever, but she has, these certain qualities that I want, you know what I mean? And so I'm going to ride or die with her, you know what I mean? And that's going to be the person. So we got to know each other, and then went from there.
And do you feel like you found those principles because of yourself and what you did to reflect on thinking about what kind of woman do I want? Or do you think those principles were instilled from you from growing up inside of a church?
Yeah, I think, of course, like, I think you know how they always say, like, if you hang out with 5 people that cuss, you're going to be 6, right? You're 5 people that smoke, you're going to be 6, right? So, obviously I'm a product of my environment, at the church and stuff like that. But, but I've always felt like, as you grow up, you start to realize, dude, I don't think I should be, involved in this environment, and I felt like as I grew up, I'm like, okay, this is a great environment. Everything that they're teaching me is great values, great, stuff. And so, I took that to heart, and I was like, you know what? I'd get advice from people at the church and stuff like that, and like what you should be looking for, what you should do, and stuff like that. And unfortunately, some people don't have that kind of direction, you know what I mean, in their life and stuff like that. And I'm thank God that I did, right? So I was always looking for the person that I didn't want to waste time with, and be like, whatever, right? I just didn't want to waste time. I wanted to get with a person that I can get to know from at an early age, and then get to know and have all these memories from when we were younger, and when we get married, like I was always with this one chick or something like that, So, but those values I got them from the church, I would say.
What are some of the values you would want to instill in your daughter about picking, the right man and not making too many mistakes along her journey to find her husband?
Yeah, dude. First of all, I think as soon as they come to the house, I'm gonna have the shotgun in hand. Right?
That's a good one.
Yeah. So I'm like, they always say that's a universal sound. Once they understand that, then they know. You know what I mean? Dude, I've always felt like, man, I cannot wait until I can. Because I'm addicted to learning, bro. I'm addicted to growth. Like I want to grow as a person, as a man, as a husband, as a And then I've always seen that if my cup is full, I can fill somebody else's, right?
I like that.
So, dude, I can't wait till I can teach my daughter everything that I know, right? Everything, but at a younger age. So she'll be way ahead of me when she's my age, right? So I feel like things that I want to teach her is some of the stuff that I learned. But dude, I can't put a couple of things in place, but I would say like, dude, read this book because this is where I got this and this from. And it's like things that you can't just say like one-liners for them to understand. It's like you got to read this book, and then you'll understand it, you'll get it, right? Like before I let her marry, dude, I want to make sure this guy knows how to deal with money. We'll talk about that a little bit. In the Bible, you guys heard of the parable of the talents?
No, I haven't. But
Parable of the Talents. It talks about there was 3 guys, and Jesus is telling the story, and he's it's kind of like a preaching, but he preaches with stories, and they call it parables. And so he said that this guy, we're going to give him 5 bags of silver. This guy, we're going to give him 2 bags of silver, and then the third one, we're just going to give him 1, right? And so he says when the master comes back, right, to give him those bags of money or whatever it might be, the bags of silver. The one that had 5 had doubled it. He had 10. Mm-hmm. The one that had 2, he doubled it. He had 4. The one that had 1 was afraid of his master. He hid it in the ground. And so when he came back, he's like, "Hey, I was so afraid of losing the money. I didn't want to risk it. So here's this one back. Mm-hmm. And so he tells the other 2 guys great job. This is awesome. Stuff like that. Now I can trust you with more, right? And the one that had 1, he took it away from him and gave it to the one that had 10. Right. And so we always talk about that, the people that don't have a lot of money or struggling, they're like the rich keep getting richer. And I'm like, dude, that's a biblical principle.
That's a good concept.
Because
that makes sense.
If he can trust you with a little, he can trust you with a lot. And so I want to make sure that this guy that comes and talks to my wife, my daughter here in the future, 18 years later, 20 years later, whatever it might be, they know how to deal with money. They got a healthy relationship with money. That's going to be one main thing. They have a good relationship with maybe their mom or something like that. If they don't have that, then they know how to treat a woman. Just stuff like that. You know what I mean? All those things. But yeah, I've learned about that a lot. I haven't got into it crazy amount, but I've listened to other guys that have daughters that I look up to, and they say, before they meet with my daughter, I want this, and this. And I don't have all those, off the top of my head, but that's definitely a couple, that would be important to me.
Yeah. Do you feel like those are certain principles that you carry yourself as an individual? Because I have a 6-year-old as well. Yeah. And whenever I think about somebody that good for my daughter when she gets older, I like to put myself in different chapters of my life, my teenage years, my adult years, and I'm like, I put a comparison on it, and I'm like, well, if she dates somebody around here, for my teenagers example, I don't want her to date someone that was like me when I was back then. Yeah. So it gives me a reference point to guide her and tell her, hey, I know you're about to be, 16, 17, and you want to start dating in high school, but this is how I was in high school, and this is what you cannot look for in high school. Mm-hmm. I think what's beautiful about having a daughter? It helps you as a man to self-reflect and realize where did you go wrong in certain aspects in relationships, and then look forward and be like, okay, well, maybe I shouldn't have done this and this and that. So now let me tell my daughter, hey, this is coming from a person that has been in the position where, let's say, for example, I don't know how much of a bad boy you were, or, how much of a ladies' man you were when you were younger. Yeah. But, me personally, I don't want to brag, but, just like every other guy, we've had women lined up. Yeah. At a young age. At a young age. And it's funny to bring that back up because in my head, I'm like, man, I do not want her to end up somebody that is like me when I was a teenager. Mm-hmm. More so end up with someone like me that is an adult now. Mm-hmm.
One thing I'll tell you, bro, is that I think a lot of times, yes, it's important. They tell us all the time, pray for the future spouses of your kids and stuff like that. Even starting now. And I'm like, that's a big deal. But I think the most important thing wouldn't be so much to focus on that, but to focus on your children. And when they feel like they have a high sense of, self-esteem or, all this kind of stuff, you put all these principles in them, they know their value. And when they know their value, they're like, dude, they look great, she looks good or something like that, or he looks good, whatever it might be. But I know they don't have what I need or something like that, what I'm looking for. And that's what the same thing for me. Dude, I wasn't looking for somebody that, it'd be great, it'd be a plus if they look great and stuff like that, they look hot and all this kind of stuff. But most important thing is, they always, I think Tim Tebow says something like this where he was like, don't get married with somebody you can live with. Get married with somebody you can't live without.
Oh, I like
that.
You know
what I mean? So you want to get with somebody that you just like, dude, I love the inside. You know what I mean? If you teach those kind of principles to your kids when they grow up, it doesn't matter how good somebody looks when they come to them and stuff like that. They won't get so. In Spanish, they llama desviado. I don't know how you could say that. Desviado means sidetracked.
Oh yeah, sidetracked.
Kind of sidetracked by somebody's looks because they're looking for what's inside. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that's one of the most important things of when you're raising a kid is trying to instill the value and those principles in them so young, so when they get older, they can hold themselves to a higher standard and say, hey, I see how they're acting, I see how their relationships are in high school, I don't want that. And my dad, my mom always told me that's not good. So why would I settle for those kinds of things when I can see that's not the kind of relationship I want? Yeah. So I think just instilling that in them so young is what's so important, because I have a son. So it's the same concept of just trying to teach the value that you have, because I wish I would have learned the value I had when I was younger in high school. And it would have been completely different for me now, and I'd be in a way higher spot now than I was if I would have just put my head on my shoulders then. So I think that's one of the main things that we can take from this whole situation, is really just trying to instill in our kids, hey, you're more valuable than just the environment that's around you. You can do so much more, and how hold yourself to a higher standard than just what's right here. I like the idea of telling her, read the book, because a lot of the time, kids don't want to listen to us. Yeah. They'd rather go through it. But now if you give them the book to read, then they say, hey, I'm already going through it because this is the book. They're giving me the scenario. I'm already actually going through it. Instead of my dad telling me this, I can actually read it. They're more willing to listen to the book than they are to listen to us. That's just usually how it goes. And then, hey, that's a sign right there.
I know, they're calling right now. That's my wife, right? She's like, where you at? You know? No, I told her I was coming over here.
No, I do like the reference to the book, though, because it reminds me of this one quote that I seen on Facebook where it was like, my child's not, it's two friends, right? Two guy friends. My child's not going to listen to me, but if you tell her, they're going to listen to you.
Mm-hmm.
Because growing up, it's like, you're automatically going to be rebellious to your parents just because, they don't understand me, this and that. And when you see another adult in your life that can relate to you, then you're like, okay, I guess this person's right, because it's more than just my parent telling me.
Yeah, that's how I felt. You know, I remember one time specifically, my dad was like, I think I was getting really upset, and I was like kind of talking back to him a little bit, and we had gone to Mexico, and we're all around like his family, and then he's like, it made me feel really bad. I still remember he was looking around, and he's like, you tell him, because he won't listen to me. He's like, or maybe you tell him. He'll listen to you. He won't listen to me. Or you know what? You in the back, you tell him, because he won't listen to me. And he did like this little thing that like I just want her to forget. And it was so true that you see your parents and see you're with them all the time. You tend to like, they don't really know, or whatever it might be. But yeah, when you listen to somebody else, and I feel like the same way in the book, because it's like, would you rather? I'll ask you guys, like, would you rather give one piece of advice, that'll take 15 minutes, 30 minutes, or whatever, an hour talk with your kid, or give them a book that's going to take them hours and hours to read, that they can go back to and listen to and watch, and or whatever it might be, and now they're learning so much from it than that 1 hour of advice. You know what I'm saying?
I like the idea of the book, though, because it's the same concept as planting the seed in somebody when you're trying to reach to them about God.
Yeah, and I'll tell you the same thing. Like when somebody's young like that, when they're your kids and stuff like that, that's when the cement is wet. When they're like starting to get to 18, or 15 and stuff like that, like it's starting to harden, and you can't make an imprint in it.
That makes sense. That's why you got to start so young.
Yeah,
you got to start young.
It's early. The cement is still wet. You can still make imprints in them, and then those imprints will stay with them. I mean, you guys remember like significant times in your life, right, when you're a kid. And I feel like that's when we have this moment. A lot of times we're like, they're just kids. No, man. Most people, and I learned this in policing, I learned this in church, that most people go through traumatic events from the age of like literally 0 to 2 years old all the way up to 8 years old. That's the most like important time, you know what I mean, when you're giving them all these principles and values and all this kind of stuff, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
No, I can agree with the traumatic events because, growing up as a kid, I remember a lot more stuff that happened then than I do now. Most of the time, I forget how old I am.
Yeah,
it's like after 25, I'm just like, am I 28? The whole time, But then again, I don't ever feel my age just because I take care of myself. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I vape, but that's completely different. But I think I'm doing okay. I work out. I haven't worked out in 2 months, to be honest with you. It's funny. No. The funny thing about it is that we've been so locked into doing all of this.
Yeah, dude.
In the other room was just this is a 2-car garage.
Yeah.
When I bought the house, they cut it in half, turned this into this room. Over there, gym,
weights, everything,
mirrors mounted, all that. But no, I don't remember certain things that happened as an adult, and it's just I get what you're saying too because. I did get custody of my daughter back in 2018, And I made sure that was the most important thing that I do for her, because I see how my sisters grew up without their dads after they split with my mom. You know, because I got one sister with my dad. So me and my sister are same parents. Everyone else, step kid.
Yeah.
But needless to say, I see how they grew up as women, and I knew from the beginning, if I had, like, once I had my daughter, I'm like, yeah, I can't be like my dad or their dads. Like, yeah, and that was the main motivating factor for me to get custody of her, because I knew, like, she was going to be so young, and I can't have her have this impression of men, you know, if I'm not there to not be around her. You know?
Yeah, dude, we talk all the time at the church about generational curses, and I really truly believe that that's true, man. There's so many times, if you notice, there's a lot of mistakes that parents make that pass it down to the kids, and the kids make the same mistakes, right? Dad is a cheater, son's a cheater, you know, or a daughter, or whatever it might be, or like, you know, they're alcoholic, you know, like stuff like that. And so I feel like, you know, I got this from a friend of mine, that you have to have this kind of mentality of, it ran into my family, or it ran in my family until it ran into me.
Yeah,
you know,
I like that.
You got to be the one to cut it off, man. You got to be like, I'm not gonna be like my parents. I'm gonna take all the good, but I'm gonna get rid of all the bad.
Yeah,
you know, and I'm gonna choose to be like this. You know, I always think, I told my wife Yada, I was like, one day I'll probably write a book, and it'll be about intentionality. I think anything in life, if you're intentional about it, you can be successful in it. You know, if you want to be intentional about your finances, you'll be wealthy. If you're going to be intentional about your marriage, you're going to have a successful marriage. You're going to be intentional about your kids. If you're intentional about whatever it is that you want, you know, and you start learning specifically about that one thing, you're intentional about it. There's no way you're not successful in it, right? You're working out, you know, stuff like that. So yeah,
this is real great. I want to touch on this real quick before I hand it off to Roger. I like that you say that, and everything you're saying makes so much sense. That when you say that you were speaking to that guy, and he was like, "I need to work for you because God, I can see God sent you here, and you're supposed to be this." It feels like that's exactly what this whole thing is. I like how you referred to, you said your dad was just, y'all were in his family, and he was like, you tell him. That right there is the where you hit it inside, where you're like, damn, I'm disappointing my dad. I felt that same way. I remember I did all this crazy stuff, and then I got to a point, and my dad told me, and this is the straw that broke the camel's back for me. He said, buddy, Junior, we can't live your life for you. He's like, you got to start making the right decisions. You got to start putting it together. And when he told me that, I was in my room and he left and walked out, I was like, man, that hit me. I was like, you're right. You can't do this. I got to do this. I got to figure all this out and put it all together. That right there is the straw that broke the camel's back, where for you, where it was like, you just feel that disappointment and you're just like, oh, I can't keep doing this. And I remember telling myself, because I told myself the same thing, I have to be the one that changes the generational curse of us being what is the word? Middle class or poor or whatever the case. I have to. I instilled it in myself. I have to be the one that does it for my family, and then after that, we just keep building and building and building, and etc. So I can relate to that so wholly. I feel it.
I could talk for hours about all that stuff, about wealth and stuff like that, and breaking it off. Like, you know, being in the system, they tell you to, you know, I guess you guys can even finish the sentence for me, right? They say, you know, go to school. Get a good job, you know, and then retire, you know, all this kind of stuff, and buy yourself a house, you know, all this stuff. But dude, it's like, you know, look at anybody that's really wealthy. None of them have a job.
Yeah, they don't.
None of them.
It's,
you know what I mean?
Just like that's their life. Yeah, it's their lifestyle.
You know, something that was taught to me that like impacted me like crazy. You know, I know you guys probably know, like Christian, all this kind of stuff, whatever. The people always say religious is not religious, it's spiritual, right? It's spiritual life, spiritual. You know. But you know, they told me, and I'll never forget, man. That's one of the big things too that kind of switched me from policing to having a job, you know, something that I like to do, love it, you know, stuff like that. But having a business and having more time for my family and stuff like that. That, dude, just imagine being somebody that's being led by God. God speaks to you, God works with you, God gives you, you know, all this kind of stuff, spirit filled, and you got to beg some man for a job that knows nothing about God, and you know, and he, you know, treating you bad, you know, cussing at you, you know, making you do this, that, whatever. And I was like, damn, that's crazy. You know what I mean? Like, imagine being the spirit-filled person and you're going to have to beg somebody else for a job. I was like, no, man. Like, God, I can step into faith and then being like, dude, I don't know what's next, you know, but I'm willing to do it, you know, and I'm not betting just on myself. I'm betting with the spirit that's within me. You know what I mean? Like, so it's crazy, man, you know, but I know I talk a lot about that, but that's my life, man.
No, it's good. Yeah, I love it, man. I love that.
I like that. And you know what? I did grow up inside of a church. I can relate to everything that you're speaking about.
Okay.
So we grew up inside of a church. We used to go to Bautista, what was it? Primero Bautista over there in Fort Worth off the north side.
Okay.
So we grew up over there. I mean, we went there for a while until we, I don't know what happened between my dad, my aunt, my uncle, my grandma, and then the rest of the church members. But we stopped going. Needless to say, I'm not like, oh, don't talk about it.
Yeah, can relate to it a little bit.
I can relate to it,
Yeah.
It's, thinking about that now, I'm getting older, and it's funny because, like, every time my daughter's on YouTube, they'll see a short. Don't turn, make sure you click heart if you like Jesus, and it's weird because it would never come on until she started watching YouTube. And I'm taking that as a sign. I'm like, I need to, show her more about the Word of God.
Yeah, we had a young group, a young couple that they used to come to church a long time ago. There's a dude that's older than me, and he said that they would drive by the church, and his kids, he's got like 4 kids, he's got a big family, and the little kids were like, he was like, oh, look, kids or whatever, that's the church I used to go to when I was y'all's age, and he was like, why don't you take us to church? And then they just like kind of hit him, you know what I mean? And then he was like, you know what? So he started taking them, and they loved it. They have little stuff for the kids, all this kind of stuff. And so he was like, dude, we just started coming because my kids started telling me. And I was like, damn, that's crazy, man. That's awesome. I think it's funny. I saw a meme about what you were saying about like this or follow this or don't skip it, for Jesus or whatever. And I saw like a picture of like Jesus, in like a suit and tie or something. And it's like when you get to heaven, all right, let's see how many times you skip that slide or whatever. That's all like, that I skip them all the time. It's like, oh, okay, come on now. They're just trying to get a lot of, volume on their page or whatever it is, what I mean?
No, one more thing before we switch over to talking about more of your King of Kings investments. Yes. Shout out to King of Kings investments.
Let's go.
But I want to get your take on baptism because I know in Catholicism they're like, oh, you baptize your kid when you're young, this and that. But I grew up learning that yes, it's one thing to baptize a kid in order to be like, make it public to the church. Oh, he accepted Jesus Christ. Mm-hmm. And, then I'm also grew up with a concept in my head was like, as long as you accept Jesus Christ, you don't really need a baptism. I think the baptism is more of a ceremony to show people. Mm-hmm. But then also, too, I mean, my daughter's always like, when am I going to get baptized? I'm like, how comfortable do you feel with the Word of God? She's like, well, I think I still need a lot to learn. Yeah. And for me personally, I'm like, if you really want to get baptized, I want you to know why you're getting baptized and not just do a first communion and all that. Because I grew up, the church that we grew up, it was Southern Baptist. Mm-hmm. So, most of my beliefs come from a deeper Christianity,
Yeah. So a lot of times, a lot of people come from, they come from a situation or come from like a mentality of this is what I believe. And it should be more like this is what the Bible says. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
So that you can just have your own interpretation of what it's saying.
Yeah, because anybody can say, I believe this and I believe it like that, or I think it should be like this. But I relate everything back to the Bible. So that way it's like, well, the Bible says, not me. It's not what I believe because, the heart the Bible talks about our heart deceiving us, you know what I mean? And stuff like that, our flesh and all this kind of stuff. Because if it was up to us, right, we'd be sleeping with everybody, right? This is what I believe, or you know what I mean? I think we should, So, no, but, so the word, I'll tell you, this is pretty simple. And it'll kind of answer your question. Jesus was 30 years old when he got baptized. It's Jesus himself.
Yeah.
Not when he was born.
So there's no age, theoretically, on when you fully accept God. It's whenever. Yeah, whenever you feel like that.
Yeah, and I do think that, it should be when like, what's going on, you know what I mean, when you're a baby. What we do at the church, so we're Christian and stuff, Pentecostal, and we, as a young baby, we present them to, in front of the church and stuff like that we're putting them in God's hands. We just pray for them. Yeah. So it's still like, similar ceremony and stuff like that Catholics do and stuff like that, but we're just presenting them to God, putting them in God's hands, for God to work with them, be with them, take care of them, cover them, stuff like that. And that, we want them to, be under God's favor, for their life and serve, the church, stuff like that in the future. But once they're 13, 14, 15, and above, they go to certain classes and they start learning more about the Word and exactly what this means, what baptism is, all that kind of stuff, and then they get baptized and they choose to do so,
Yeah. Okay, just real quick to touch on this. So I'm gonna segue it to Roger, but if I'm a 18-year-old kid and you're barely meeting me, and I say, hey, Caleb, I need to just get my life in track and whatnot. What are some things I need to focus on right now at 18 to help my life in the future?
Yeah.
And we're going to segue this into insurance. So I want you to let me know from the insurance side,
okay,
what would I need to know to better my life from 18 to 60, 50 years old?
Yeah, that's good, dude. To be honest, like if I was having like a deeper conversation, I'd probably ask them about like what their parents' relationship is with money and stuff like that too, just so I can kind of have an idea. Because I could tell you to focus on this, and this, but like there's probably some specific advice that I could give. But in general, I'm a big Dave Ramsey fan. I don't know if you know him. Right?
I love Dave
Ramsey. So that's good, dude. A lot of people don't like him because he's very.
He's very old school in the way he thinks.
His principles and stuff.
Yeah. So, very old school. I can't remember the word I'm thinking about. But yeah, very old school and stuff like that. And so, if you think of like Robert Kiyosaki, it's way on the right side. Dave Ramsey's very on the left side.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of good stuff that you can learn from Kiyosaki and stuff like that. So I feel like I lean a little bit more towards Dave though, but just like right there, you know what I mean? Because there's just some principles that are really hardcore, but what I do know is if you follow his plan, you win 100% of the time.
Yeah.
You're not going into like risky debt and all this kind of stuff. So I would tell him, dude, listen to Dave Ramsey because it goes back to like what I was talking about, giving the book to my child instead of just giving them one piece of advice, right? I want to teach people how to fish, not give them the fish.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so giving them, teaching them how to fish is maybe I don't have all the time to be able to spend time with this person. We're actually doing it right now. I just started a new Bible study series with our youth. I'm a youth pastor, and so I'm in charge of all the youth at our church, and we started last Friday. So if you guys want to learn more, come out. You know what I mean? No, but and I'm teaching about Dave Ramsey's principles, and he's got baby steps. Right. So first step is $1,000 in your bank. You know what I mean? As an emergency fund. If you make less than $20,000, then it's $500. And then you just keep going down the line. Yeah. And so I would tell them, learn this. Maybe even read the book. If you don't have money like that, then watch the YouTube videos, learn about the baby steps, and then start getting them on the way. But talking about the whole insurance thing, the one thing that even Dave Ramsey says is before you even go to emergency fund and doing all that stuff, like even if you don't got a lot of money and you got a lot of debt and all this kind of stuff, one of the things that you need is life insurance. And he says term life insurance because he's like, what if you just started the plan and you're starting to save your first $1,000 and you got $100 in there, $500 in there, whatever it is, and it's a mom and dad that are struggling and they're trying to get their stuff right, and dad passes away. They're screwed.
Because you don't even have life insurance. There's no backup coming.
What is she going to do? If they're already struggling with two incomes, what are they going to do with one?
Worse, you would think, theoretically.
Bro, you know what I mean? Or sometimes the dad is the only one that works. Double screwed, you know what I mean? Like, they're losing the house. Everything is screwed. Now you see them on GoFund. What's it called?
GoFundMe.
GoFundMe. I should have made a shirt, right? Brought it over here next time. I'm going to bring that. No more GoFundMes, I've seen people do that. But, yeah, so, dude, people see it as like, oh, you're a salesman. I'm like, dude, well, yeah, I do sales. But, dude, I'm doing something that really, like, people really need. As a matter of fact, I paid a death claim, bro. I haven't told you this. There's a mom. She's single, and she has a 20-year-old and then a 17-year-old daughter, right? No dad's involved in the picture. And dude, she got coverage with us. Thank God she got approved and everything like that. And literally, bro, we didn't know it. I don't know how they didn't catch it. I don't know what. Like, they do medical exams when they do life insurance. But she was diagnosed with cancer and dies a couple months later, bro.
Couple months later?
Yeah, bro. And she had got rated. That means that your coverage went up because you're not in good health or something like that. She had something with her liver or something like that, and that's what made her insurance costs go up. So she had $150,000 in coverage, and we lowered it to $100 just to save her a little bit of money. And she was paying like $75 a month. She probably paid on it for like 3-4 months. And so when she passed away, I paid a $100,000 check to the 20-year-old kid.
Oh, man.
Dude, so now, he's 20 years old. He don't know what to do. So he goes back to that, like, what do I do? I'm 18, stuff like that. Well, this kid, he's got $100,000 now, and so I give him the check, and I'm like, dude, this is your money. You can do whatever you want with it. But if you want a plan, dude, I can walk you through it, So we found out how much he needed, to pay his bills and stuff like that, and do whatever he's got to do for the next like 6 months and buy himself a better car, everything. What else do you need? Car, this, that, boom, boom, boom. We made a budget. Okay, you take this much money, and then $60,000 we're going to invest it. right? And that 60 grand, by the time you retire, if you put nothing else in there, you'll be at a 1.5 million or something like that.
Millionaire.
Like something like that. Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, just leave the money there. Don't even touch it.
Yeah, so I was like, but if you do need it, we'll structure a piece of it to be where you can withdraw if you need it, stuff like that, So yeah, man, that's like I would tell them, focus on Dave Ramsey, learn these principles, but you got to get your life insurance. We talked about a little bit that that term life insurance, you get something that's affordable. If you're in your 20s and below, or even 30s and below, you can get you a plan that's like $60-$50 or less. You know what I mean? Just depending on how much coverage you have. But it's locked in for the rest of your life for the next 35 years or so. And so it's like it's better to have it when you're young, because people are like, oh, I'll get it later. I'm not thinking about, Well, the thing is, when you get it when you're young, you're saving a ton of money, because now it's locked in at a rate when you're so young and healthy. Who knows if something happens here in the next 2, 3, 4 years and you have some kind of sickness, now you can't get approved at all. So it's like you have something while you're young, and then, let's say yours is $30, $40, $50. Anything else extra, you can start investing in. So, yeah.
So I want to go ahead and touch back on that whole medical exam. How in-depth is that? Is that more of a couple blood draws, run some labs, and then just check that out? Yeah,
it's real simple, to be honest. There's actually two, for some people are like, I don't like needles. We have a way where you can do it with no medical exam or anything like that, and it's just it just costs you like $5-$10 more depending on whatever. But if you're younger, it's probably going to go up like $5 to $8 more or something like that. Just no medical exam. If you do the medical exam, which I always tell them, like, hey, I recommend it. You save a little bit of money. Then we pay for it. A nurse from the state of Texas comes to your home. They draw blood, they weigh you, and then they do a urine sample, and that's it. So they're looking for, it's real simple. Like, they'll take like 15 minutes, because I did it myself, right? So they come to you, draw your blood, weigh you, urine sample. They're looking for like tobacco and all that stuff. You do tobacco or nicotine, then it goes up a little bit, stuff like that, But other than that, then, that's pretty much it. Once they do that, they're good,
So do you personally believe that everybody should have life insurance? Yeah,
dude. I mean, I can't think of anybody that shouldn't have it, because if, let's say it's a young single mom that, can't afford much, she already has a little bit, whatever, stuff like that, but if something happens to her, what happens to her kids? You can write up a will, which we also do. A will with an attorney can cost like $300. With us, it's like $38. And
really?
Yeah, we have you guys download Legal Shield. That's one of our partners. They download that app, get it done. They have a will, so she could put like, I want my kids to go to David, my brother, or whatever it is. If something happens to me, they're going to take care of my kids. And it's like, okay, that's cool that you got that set up now, but you're giving a big burden to David. Does that make sense? Like, you're giving him a big burden, with the kids. If you had life insurance, you at least have something. Whoever's going to take care of my kids. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? And so, let's say somebody that's really wealthy. Well, why do I need life insurance?
I was about to ask that.
Yeah, let's say something like that. I know people. I've covered a couple of people that are wealthy, and they get these big $1 million policies and stuff like that because they got a ton of money to take care of stuff. Well, here's the thing: if let's say you had a $500,000 of coverage or something like that, for somebody like your age, you won't be paying too much. I can't give you exact numbers because it can range and stuff like that. But let's say it was $60 or something like that, $70, I don't know, a month. And that $500,000, you already have millions in the bank or something like that for your family and all this kind of stuff. Well, this is tax-free money that gets paid out. It's not like when they cut you the check, it's tax-free. So that $500,000, let's say David's married, I can put that $500,000 into an investment that's averaging 10% every year. So what's 10% of 500 is $50,000. So that means it's spitting out $50,000 every single year for the rest of, whatever. I was going to say the rest of eternity, right? For the rest of, I don't know how many, and it'll never even touch the principal. It's growing $50,000 and it spits it out, right? Grows $50,000 and spits it out.
Damn.
That's crazy.
So the money just stays invested, but then the capital just keeps growing.
Yeah. So, but the let's say it was $1 million, same thing, $100,000. They just every year, and they can live off of that money, even if business goes down south or whatever, right? They got money over here, right? And so it's just another example of like something like that. Or if they don't want that, they could just leave that money. And it's growing, and it's growing, growing, growing. They pass it down to kids, right?
So would you recommend opening up a trust and putting a bank account within the trust as the you being the trustee, the trust owns the bank account, and then having the policies get deposited into that bank account?
To be honest, like, I think a lot of cash value life insurance agents, do a lot of that stuff, like with the trust. And there's ways you could do that, but to make it very easy, it's not necessary. You know what I mean? Like, you put 2 beneficiaries, or you can put however many beneficiaries you want, and the money will be paid out to that person. And you can put it in your will, like, hey, I would like for you to do this, this, and this with the money. If you don't trust them like that, then you put them in a trust or something. I don't know, but like I would say, just a will on a regular life insurance policy is enough. You know what I mean?
So I'm getting the idea that the customers should bring in are people maybe from your community who don't really have that financial knowledge. I mean, let's put it this way: most of these people that are in the community that you grew up in are either first generation or immigrants coming from a different country.
Yeah, bro. Dude, look, to be honest, what you just said is everybody doesn't have financial knowledge like that, bro. Just think about it. Do we get taught about finances in school like that? Not really.
Nope.
We don't get educated.
Don't even say not really. We don't. They don't tell us nothing.
Yeah, unless you I say not really because they do, like for Mesquite, I took specific classes, but I had to choose them as like an elective, which nobody's going to do.
Yeah.
But I was just kind of interested about it, so I wanted to learn a little bit about it. But yeah, like in the curriculum type stuff, no, right? So I literally, every meeting I have, I tell people, I teach something called the Rule of 72, and I'll walk you through it here in a little bit. But I tell them, we really don't get taught much about finances in school. Would you agree? And they're like, yeah, no. And I'm like, yeah, they throw us out in the world, and we just got to be forced to learn on our own, right? And so, and then we'll start, going in and teaching about it. But, I lost my train of thought. Like the people in the community.
Yeah.
Like, so I tell them, look, if we didn't really get taught much about finances in school that we grew up here in the U.S., just imagine people coming from another country.
They don't know nothing. Yeah, nothing.
Just imagine. You know what I mean? So, yeah, we're teaching these folks. And the cool thing is we can open investment accounts for people that don't have a social. They just have to have an ITIN number. Same thing with the life insurance and everything. And that's a big deal because if you go to Morgan Stanley or Franklin Templeton or these big companies for investments, Charles Schwab and all that stuff, they're going to require you to invest a lot of money. So we say rich people have financial advisors, poor folks have welfare. Nobody's helping the middle class, and that's what we do, right? And so there's like a never-ending, just everybody middle class. It's a big portion of the U.S. that's middle class, and we're teaching them, educating them, and then we open these mid-sized accounts, but they're constantly just telling their friends about it, and then we're just always having clients that way, through referrals.
Gotcha. No, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to touch on real quick. Actually, since you touched base on that with the middle class, I think Dave Ramsey is perfect for the middle class. And Robert Kiyosaki is perfect for any of those middle class or poor people that are trying to be a entrepreneur, trying to be bigger than just the middle class. Because some of it, there has to be a middle class. Somebody has to work a lot of these regular jobs. No offense to anybody, but that's where it has to be. So if you're just in the middle class, Dave Ramsey is perfect for you, his principles and everything like that. But if you're trying to go to that next level, Robert Kiyosaki is where you step up to that next game and that next level with everything.
I would say just because of the risk that there is in some of the principles of Robert Kiyosaki, I would say that it would be for some of the middle class that are trying to go next level, just like you said, because the poor folks don't have room to have any risk. You know what I mean? Exactly. So but it's still same deal. I agree with you there. But middle class, get to where you're financially good, and then maybe you can take on some risks. You know what I mean? Then go for it. You know what I mean? But just know that there's a little bit of risk in there. And there's people that are like, dude, I'm willing to go for risk. Okay, well, cool, man. Just know that something might happen. That's cool. You know what I mean? I've done it too. I've had some risk, stuff like that with business and everything. What I liked about this business is I didn't have to put a lot of money into it, right? We already had an office. We already had all this kind of stuff that our brokers had, and we just, came in. And so our company's providing the insurance and, the investments and all that. And I'm just, my biggest thing I think that works for me is my mouth, right? My mouthpiece, and that's it. You know what I mean? That and credibility and all this kind of stuff. You know what I mean? As long as you have that, then you can grow a business. You know what I mean?
So let's touch base on your Kings of Kings investments a little bit. So how did you get into that, or is that literally with the insurance and everything?
Yeah. So same thing. Basically like the company I work with and everything, they sponsored everything for me to get licensed and all that kind of stuff. And so then you're considered an independent contractor, right? 1099, like if you were to do Uber or all this kind of stuff, DoorDash and all that stuff. And so that first year, 2021, I'm doing part time, stuff like that. 1099 income. And so once I see like I could do this, I wanted to become a broker, have my own agency, you know what I mean? Within, so we have our parent company, but I have my agency. So they're the ones that provide me with insurance and investments and all that. And I have my own, LLC or DBA or whatever it might be. And so for those of you guys that are not business, maybe you guys have got to look that stuff up, whatever. But, so yeah, ours is King of Kings Investments. And we say, because I belong to the King, my business belongs to the King, right? The King of Kings. So yeah, and my last name is Reyes, that stuff. But yeah, so we started this, and then and same thing we're already doing before, but now we're brokers, and we have our own. You get certain benefits basically once you can open your own little agency. Now you get bonuses, your income goes up, all this kind of stuff. And so and then we get free trips, right? We just kind of came back from Hawaii and all that. They paid for all that stuff. You start making over 100, you get a ring and all that kind of stuff. And so, dude, I mean. That's the way I started it was the same way, just the part time. Once I knew what I was doing, then I became broker, and then went from there. And that's when I quit my job, 2022.
So to wrap up, I just wanted to touch base real quick and just make sure, this was actually pretty valuable information that we're putting out to people, right?
A lot of valuable information.
And the only way we're going to get this message out is by you telling everybody in that direction where to contact you, how to get in touch with you.
Yeah, for sure, man. So, yeah, my name is Caleb Reyes. My Instagram, the IG is Reyes, the VP. My phone number, 214-998-8294. I literally put it out there like that. You can text me, literally just more info. And I already know that that's what you're looking for. There's a lot of agents out there just trying to make it sell, man. We're trying to help people. We're trying to educate folks, trying to get something that's a lot more affordable, right? Because inflation's crazy, right? So, yeah, that's how you can reach me. Let's get you guys educated. Let's get you on, I rid of that generational wealth curse, right? Curse. Yeah, you know what I mean? So let's go, man.
Hey, you guys don't have to worry about remembering his number. We're going to put it in the bio. You don't got to rewind the video and be like, let me write this down. It's going to be in the bio so you guys can check him out. Talk to Caleb. Go to his church. Say what's up. If you see him in person at the gym, because my boy goes to the gym, say what's up. Ask him some questions. He's all free game, free knowledge right That's here. It. So I love that.
Alrighty, guys. We're going to catch you guys in the next episode of Direct Discussions.
Appreciate it. Real quick, I just want to say, thank you for taking your time out to come over here. Thank you for giving us some gems. Thank you for giving us some knowledge. And like I said, I love this whole little talk we had. It's a lot deeper than people even realize. So I appreciate you for coming on and taking your time out for that.
Yeah, man, that hour goes quick, man, for sure. So that's awesome.
You know what's funny, though? That we told ourselves, maybe 30 minutes. Because when we first started thinking about this, 30 minutes or so. But that hour goes by quick. Well, last week we were kind of at 55, and now we're rolling over an hour. And it's like, man, all right, hour 15, and for sure.
Yeah.
But no, it's funny because I didn't know about you until he brought you up, and I'm like, cop insurance, okay. And then we started talking more about religion, and that's when it really got deep because I'm like, man, I can definitely relate with this guy.
Yeah, dude.
He has his head on his shoulders. Comes in, walks in, knows what he wants. You can tell when this man comes into the room. There's something about him, and I guess getting to know you more, I see I see God around you, man.
Dude, you see the aura. You see the aura you bring off. That's what it is, bro. It's an aura. That's an easy way to say it.
Yeah, dude, and that's what you want to have. You want to carry something that people can see that, you know what I mean, is different, and people are like curious to know more, right?
See, bro, we feel it instead of seeing it. Like, I can feel, and if you feel it, you're more willing to listen. And that's the whole thing is like, I felt this whole thing, so now if I felt it, they felt it, and they're more willing to listen. And that's all we need them to do is listen, because if they listen, then they're going to start putting their life in the right track to cover all these other squares. Because there's a lot of single mothers that I know that they don't have the boyfriend or the husband or whatever it is, and they need to have insurance. They need to worry about these things, but they don't, because it's like you said, they're like, I'll put this $50 here, I'll put this money here, instead of putting it in investments, not knowing you could go to work right now and you're gone. And what do your kids have?
Yeah, I want to give this one last tip. I know we got to go, but like if somebody's doing like $25 a month for their kid for 18 years, that grows to about 15 grand. We would have loved, for us to have like 15 grand by the time we're 18. If it was 21 and you have about almost 20 grand saved in there. You know what I mean? So that's an account for kids. There's 529s, there's called UTMAs, stuff like that for kids. If you want a retirement account, you want to retire with over 300 grand, $100 a month for 30 years is $350,000. That's crazy, man. At an average of 10%. So
money adds up, and the amount of money that they're investing over those 30 years or whatever isn't even the $300,000 that they're gonna get, which is insane. You're not even investing the amount of money, and you're gonna get all this extra money. They just don't even know it yet. That's why if you're interested in it, you just gotta hit him up. And he'll give you all the game to get you started in insurance and anything that you need to do. So I appreciate you for coming on again.
And thank you so much for coming on, man. You know, this was really refreshing, to say the least.
We'll see you guys on the next episode of Direct Discussions. Appreciate your time. Like, comment, subscribe, and you gotta subscribe. There's too many people watching that are not subscribing. Subscribe.
Bro, we've checked the algorithm. We know who's subscribed and who's not subscribed. You know, naughty or nice.
Yeah.
You know, we need you unsubscribers to go ahead and click this link, share it below it. You know, we're not going to be saying this all the time, but we probably will be. Click, subscribe, link, all that good stuff.
let's go.
Alrighty, guys. We'll catch you on the next one.
Peace.